Solidarity says this evening that going into business rescue is a historic event. The trade union going to court to have the carrier placed under business rescue, citing efforts to avoid liquidation. Head of Solidarity's Research Institute, Connie Mulder, joins us now from Pretoria. Mr. Mulder, good evening to you and welcome. Are you taking full credit for this?
Good evening, Jeremy. It is indeed a good day. I wouldn't say full credit, but we do welcome the government on board Team Solidarity's plan for SAA. It's a sudden turnaround that sort of shocked us. If you take into account last week still, they opposed our court application, and in Parliament the ANC were vehemently opposed to business rescue, with Mr. Sabalala actually stating that it's neo-fascist organisations that want to put SAA into business rescue. But a week is a long time in politics, and now finally sanity has prevailed. We're of the opinion this is not at all a voluntary business rescue. This government was forced and dragged, kicking and screaming, into making a choice at the end of the day in the benefit for the taxpayer as well as the employees at SAA.
There are some tonight that's saying that this is all just far too late. Do you agree with that?
Well, we're worried that it might be too late. The thing that worries us particularly is that this seems that the board wants to basically continue business as usual, but only using the business rescue moniker. If they're going to be the ones appointing a business rescue practitioner, then we're extremely worried. We've had a legal opinion today that says that there's a good chance that this resolution is null and void, since our business rescue application was lodged on the 21st of November. Which means we're obviously not going to be litigious and just go to court. But if we're going to be appointing a business rescue practitioner that's not going to be independent, that doesn't have the necessary expertise, and that is going to be open for undue influence, then they will leave us no choice but to continue.
Mr. Mulder, with respect, you're behind the curve on this one, because we now know who that business rescue practitioner is. His name is Les Mattison. He is well experienced in this business. He's handled other big business rescue projects before, and in terms of the legislation, he has to be independent anyway. Why are you sounding out this warning when it simply probably amounts to nothing?
I wouldn't say it's a warning. We've sort of met with organised labour today.
With respect, Mr. Mulder, earlier today you were saying you were threatening legal action if the business rescue process was not independent. That was Dirk Herman from your organisation that was saying that. So it is a threat. Yes,
well, obviously we've still got the application. We still had a meeting with our advocates this afternoon. It says that we can still continue if necessary. We're just trying to keep the board and SAA on the straight and narrow in this sense. We know Les Mattison, it's the business rescue practitioner who participated in Highveld Steel's business rescue turnaround. We're still considering, as organised labour, it's Solidarity, NUMSA and SACA. We've sent a letter to the board and to the DPE that says, but we want to be consulted in this turnaround, because at the end of the day it's going to be the workers who bear the brunt of this turnaround if it doesn't work. And that means we're worried about this sort of forging ahead without consulting any stakeholders. But let's see if we can sort this out without having to end up in court once again.
Consultation, I accept that is one thing. The other thing that you're saying, though, is you're concerned about him not being independent. Why do you say that?
We're concerned with where SAA is concerned. The one thing that we've seen that has managed to basically kill every single turnaround process has been government influence. And we're very worried that if we don't get SAA properly out of government influence with this, if we don't have the board appointing someone and him being beholden to them, that's something that's going to just once again frustrate this process.
Is it your concern then, Mr. Mulder, that he is not going to be allowed to do his job properly by government, by the ruling party, by those within the airline? That's what you're suggesting to me.
Yes, we are obviously concerned about interference as far as possible. We hope that Mr. Mattison gets a mandate, or has a bit of steel in his stomach, to be able to say that, no, this is my job and I am going to turn this around without any undue influence. The fact that government has basically pivoted in a week from vehemently opposing business rescue to suddenly being applicants in the process means that we're sort of worried, and we're viewing this skeptically and saying, let's see where this goes. But we are overjoyed that we've finally gotten to a place where common sense prevails regarding SAA. We've stated that business rescue is the only option that should be taken for almost now, it's 2 years. And finally, we've forced the government into this.
Have you reached out to Mr. Mattison yet? And are you expecting to take a meeting with him at some point?
We have not yet reached out. It's still very early days, but I think we've got a meeting tomorrow with the board, and then we'll most likely proceed from there on to make sure that all participants and stakeholders are on board with this turnaround as far as possible.
What would be on the agenda with that meeting with the board tomorrow?
Well, we've done a lot of groundwork regarding business rescue. We've spent 2 years on this application, so we think it would be wise for the board to consider our court documents as well as our business rescue plan, which we've tested with aviation experts in order to not reinvent the wheel, to facilitate Mr. Madison's turnaround plan as best as possible, rather than start from scratch and then maybe once again get something going that's not really that feasible or viable. So we would obviously reach out the hand of cooperation as far as possible. This was our ultimate goal, was to get SAA into business rescue. Since we're there now, we're once again more than willing to help to facilitate this.
You are prepared to give him a modicum of manoeuvrability, though. He's just got into the job. He's got a lot of work to do. We're heading into the festive season. He's got to come up with a plan within the next 25 days. On the one hand, you're keeping a close watch on him. You're threatening legal action if you deem his efforts not to be independent. On the other hand, though, you're saying he must be given a chance. Which is it?
Well, it's both of those. What we're worried about is that his independence is in any way affected. So we're obviously going to give him a chance. 25 days is not a lot of time, especially given the complexity. So that's where our business rescue plan that has been sort of in the works for a while would be a good starting point for Mr. Madison. We're going to monitor closely, as we've done with SAA the past 2 years, 3 years, and make sure that the turnaround is effected. Where obviously our main concern with business rescue would be that we need a practitioner who's able to operate independently from government and from the board and make the decisions that has been on the cards from 2013, but that has not been implemented yet.
All right.
So we're willing to give Mr. Madison a chance.
All right, Connie Mulder from the Solidarity Research Institute talking to us from Pretoria.